What's the connection between Canada's summer camping season and Ottawa's technology sector? The answer is an online marketplace that is taking our country and the US by storm. The company is Ottawa-based RVezy, and it's now facilitating the rental of 20,000 RVs. But if you think RVezy is following the disruptive Uber model, you're wrong. Hear more about RVezy's winning strategy in this episode of Techopia Live. Hey everyone, it's Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. Welcome to another episode of Techopia Live. This is a regular podcast from OBJ that features interviews with next generation technology executives and leaders from Ottawa's technology ecosystem. We've got a mission here at Techopia. We want to create a deeper level of understanding about what's happening in the local tech ecosystem. We want to explore common issues to local tech firms, and we want to level up the tech sector. So I want to thank you for tuning in and helping us accomplish that mission. If you're enjoying the podcast, please share it with a friend. We're on YouTube and all sorts of audio platforms. So please share. We're eager to expand our audience. Okay, great show today. Let me start by asking you this. When you think of summer in Canada, what comes to mind? For thousands of Canadians, it's thoughts of outdoor camping, pristine lakes, expensive forests, nights by a campfire. And many of you might have an interest in camping, but you might not be looking really to rough it, that leaky tent experience. You're looking for something a little bit more comfortable, like a recreational vehicle, an RV. In today's episode, we get the inside story behind an online platform based right here in Ottawa that has experienced tremendous growth in facilitating RV rentals and sales. They have scaled the venture over the past several years to become a major player in this industry. To tell us more, we have the co-founder of RVezy. Here is Michael McNaught. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Michael. Nice to see you. Nice for having me.
Yeah, Michael and Michael. That's never happened to me. I don't know about you, Michael.
Yeah, it makes it tough, doesn't it?
Yeah. I always joke I had a science class. I think 28% of the class were Michaels. So we're probably born in kind of the same era. It was clearly a popular name.
I think it was a popular name for a period of time.
It was.
Maybe it'll make a comeback. Maybe it'll make a comeback sometime.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, Michael. Yeah. So listen, Michael, you've been part of the Ottawa tech scene for a number of years, but you've got a really interesting backstory as well. I understand you were a police officer for many years. So maybe take a minute to introduce to our audience who you are, Michael.
Yeah, my journey to RVezy and entrepreneurship has been a very different one. When I look back on myself, my career, where I've been, certainly an entrepreneur at heart, not really realizing it. So professional career, I started out as a police officer, spent a couple of years in Edmonton as a police officer, and then about 10 years here in Ottawa as an officer. Always had something on the go. So even while I was policing, whether it was buying and selling, whether flipping cars, flipping RVs, whatever I could get my hands on, I always had a hand in that. Back in April 2016, unfortunately, I ended up getting injured on the job, which resulted in some surgery, a long time recovering. And I always had this idea in the back of my mind. At the time, I was renting my own RV and doing quite well renting it out while being able to use it. So kind of leveraged a bit of that time off to connect with my co-founder, Will, and kind of dove into this Airbnb for RVs. It didn't exist at the time. I was quite familiar with the process of renting an RV and some of the challenges that I personally faced, and thought, why not leverage this opportunity, kind of get over the rut of being injured on the job and going through surgery, and see if we can't turn this into a business. So really follow that MVP mindset, got something out there really, really quick, got some market learnings, and it's hard to believe, but that was 8 years ago. And here we are today, operating all across North America, just over 80 employees, over 20,000 vehicles on the platform. we're doing 60, 70,000 rentals a year. It's pretty amazing what can happen in that short period of time.
Uh, what a story. What a story, Michael. Thanks for your service, and sorry to hear about that injury. I'm happy that it's brought you to this new entrepreneurial life that you're living now. You're thriving in, my goodness. I want to go back to those early days, and I do love that part of the backstory that you had this. As if I got the story correctly, you owned RV yourself. You'd paid a modest amount of money from it, and you realize, oh my goodness, I could rent this out and almost recoup the total package. So you had that, you identified that opportunity, and then you must have been faced with your partner with this giant concept, because you're not a hardcore tech guy. So
Mhm.
you were like, how do we build a platform? Like, we can't do this, through text and on my smartphone here. So bring us back to those early days where you were faced this giant challenge of building an online marketplace.
I think a bit of my naiveness in the whole matter probably benefited us,
Okay.
and that not knowing that 95% plus of startups are going to fail within the first couple of years, and how challenging and difficult entering this world is. I simply saw I needed to solve a problem for myself. Like there's inherently a problem with the way that people would rent out their own RVs. And I was part of the demographic that buys an RV, uses it for 2 to 4 weeks out of the year, and 11 months it sits in the driveway depreciating. So I always looked at, and I've always been this way, I like owning things. I just don't like paying for them. And found this to be a really unique way of looking at RV ownership. Well, if I can use it 2 to 4 weeks out of the year and I can rent it the other times, I've essentially solved my problem. I have a free RV at my disposal. The challenge was always insurance. How do you insure an RV for commercial use while holding a personal policy? And that was really the problem I was looking to solve, because there was no solution in the market. The solution for us was, why don't we, it's kind of the field of dreams type vision of, well, people are already doing this. Why don't we provide a marketplace and provide some sense of security behind that? And then we're going to go to the insurance industry and show them how this problem exists and that there's an opportunity in solving the problem. And so it's kind of the, if you build it, they will come, right? So we built the platform, got a bit of traction, and then went to the insurance regulators and said, look, there's a gap in the market that needs to be addressed. There is no other solution, and people want to do this thing and they're not properly insured. And I think that's what really motivated the insurance industry to get not just get behind the business model, but to get behind RVezy, is that we already proved that we were in the market, had some traction, had some customers, knew the market, knew the industry, and were the right bet for them as far as building out a policy.
That's a great point. You needed to overcome that insurance barrier, or else the whole, business model. As I understand it, Michael, too, you had some early support. I think it was Marcus Friend who's in BC, I think. So is it Plenty of Fish that he built? Do I get that right?
I have to say he's like one of a few. He has to be, in my opinion. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs and very successful people in this journey of mine. He has to be one of the most underrated Canadian entrepreneurs, if not North American entrepreneurs out there. He scaled Plenty of Fish online dating platform to become the world's largest dating platform, and he was the only employee at the time. Like he built it, marketed it, and has a true unbelievable sense of how to understand data, how to translate that into technology, and how to bring everything through marketing to make it all work. So he was an incredible introduction that we got, where he, to be honest, very similar to dating, where you're trying to take one person and introduce them to somewhere else. We're looking for someone looking to go on an RV trip and someone that owns the RV. Very, very similar marketplace dynamics. He was able to look at our business and understand it at a totally different level of, how does this business model scale? Where's the true value in the business model? And he's been an incredible resource and investor since, I guess, again, amazing time, almost 5 years now that we've been working with him.
Yeah, what an opportunity to benefit from the experience of someone that had been built an online marketplace and understand, as you said, the economics behind it. The story. So he's one part of the. I think he's really fascinating in your story. The other thing that people probably still bring up with you is your Dragon's Den appearance. I think it
Yeah.
was around 2017. What was that like? Like everybody always, it's this Canadian dream now to get on Dragon's Den, and we know that there's a lot of made for TV stuff in there, but still you get a big publicity hit, right, Michael?
Yeah, and it's yes, made it, of course, it's a television show, right? Absolutely. But it is 100% genuine and real. There's nothing scripted, there's no prep. When I always thought this was interesting when we were backstage getting ready to go on, and I had asked one of the producers, I'm like, well, how does this work? Like, where do we go? Are you going to show us? And their response was, well, haven't you seen the show? It works just like that. There was no dry run, no nothing. You're just thrown into the pit to negotiate with the dragons. And again, it's the venue to be able to put yourself in some of the top investors, top entrepreneurs in Canada, and have an opportunity to form a connection with them. It's invaluable. And Michelle, of course, was kind of our target from day one. We're similar in age. She's still an active entrepreneur. She built marketplaces. She understands those dynamics. She's active, right? She's still building her own business. So she's been, again, an incredible investor, advisor, friend, whatever you want to call it. Her and her partner and her team have been incredible. They don't hold back, which I think is extremely important. If they won't pass a fault. They see something wrong or they see something you're doing maybe that's going in the wrong direction, she'll call us out, which has been fantastic. You need that type of person around when you're venturing into the unknown waters.
This is some high-powered help, Michael, that you and Will got. Oh my God, that there's probably a lesson there, by the way, too, right? To tap into these people with so much knowledge and so much experience that can really identify kind of a path forward. I want to. You touched on some of the data points on the company, Michael, but I just want to go over them again to emphasize them. So, you're about 7-8 years into this. And you're a private company, so I don't expect you to talk revenue, but give us a sense again on maybe employee growth. I know you mentioned it already, or percentage growth year over year. How quickly is RVezy growing?
I think the most interesting one is during the pandemic, we had always wanted to enter the American market, right? We all know the American market's about 10, 14 times the size of the Canadian market. We really have established a really exciting business here in Canada. Well, we wanted to go into the American market and compete against our competitors that had been there for 4 or 5 years longer than we have. And I think that was probably the biggest, most exciting challenge we've had is we've watched numerous other competitors make the attempt into the American market and it just didn't work. So I like to put us at number 3 in the US market. While we are certainly not the third entrant, there was a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and it didn't work. We have some incredible traction where it's going to be very close this year, where the American business may exceed our established Canadian business, which I think that's a really exciting milestone. And I heard you during the introduction, you talk about thousands of Canadians. I'll correct that number. You're talking
Millions of Canadians. You're right. Yeah.
There's over 2 million RVs registered in Canada.
Whoa.
8 million individual RV nights or RV trips per year. This number is the one that always blows my mind, is that there are 1/3 as many nights spent in an RV as there are in hotels in North America. So you think about that. Think about the North American hotel industry, and RVing is 1/3 of that size. That's a lot of nights in an RV for, in Canada, a 4-month RV season. So it is quite the popular activity where I think, my age growing up, that was grandpa's activity, right? Grandpa had a trailer. He traveled around and did that. This is kind of like a new way of traveling, new way of exploring new places. It's an affordable option for a lot of, middle income families where, the aspirations of cottage ownership up in the Muskokas is simply not a reality anymore. It's much more challenging. However, owning a beautiful trailer and being able to travel, is much more within reach for the average Canadian.
Yeah. And just thinking of Canada for a bit, and that U.S. market, is it still a very seasonal thing? I guess that's one of the problems with probably operating a business like yours in Canada. We're going to see a lot of those RV trips taken in June, in summer months. Is this,
Yeah,
and the U being in the U.S. might change that a little bit, right?
the seasonality is really, really interesting.
Okay.
So we have our call it a trip seasonality. When do people go on trips? Well, that's kids out of school, kids back to school. That's really the prime season here in Canada. However, people plan in advance. We actually really see, I always found it fascinating from year one. You can literally watch in our data the moment Christmas Day hits, we start to see an upward trajectory. Families are getting together, they're planning their summer vacations. Booking a provincial or national campground is often very difficult due to supply limitations. So they release those campgrounds 5-6 months in advance. So we see a booking seasonality really kick off in the new year. RV trip seasonality is kids out of school, kids back to school. The US is very, very similar, but given the much longer RV season, you're going to see, let's go rent an RV this weekend in February. So you tend to have a much shorter lead time. So the date booked to the date that RV trip goes out, much shorter lead time, which really helps us as a business to kind of have year-round revenue. And just it's like how nice is that? The state of California is the size of Canada with a 12-month RV season, right? In one state alone.
That's so cool. And Michael, we're going to take a little break here for a second, but I really want to come back and talk to you about what differentiates RVezy's vision from something like Uber, because you're not looking to disrupt, you're looking to elevate kind of the industry there. But before we get into that, Michael, we're going to pause for a second, as mentioned, and recognize the sponsor of this episode. Here is Number Crunch. Number Crunch is an Ottawa-based firm that allows you to strategically outsource your financials, especially if you're a technology startup or scaling your business. Number Crunch services range from bookkeeping to payroll to full virtual CFO services, including fundraising preparation and cash flow forecasting. Led by Susan Richards and Craig Hung, Number Crunch is supported by an established team of financial professionals who have advised and supported hundreds of firms. Number Crunch's cost-effective subscription model affords you the right expertise for every stage of your business. Let Number Crunch help your company mitigate risk by ensuring proper accounting procedures are in place, providing you with strategic input and scaling along with your business. For a quote on outsourcing and accounting, please visit numbercrunch.ca. Number Crunch, strength in numbers. Thanks again to our friends at Number Crunch. We're back with Michael McNaught having a great conversation about RVezy, and this is such a key point to make, Michael, and you emphasized it with me. You are not the Uber. Uber disrupted the taxi industry, and now we've got this big lawsuit in Ottawa, and we're going to have to pay taxi drivers. That was not your vision. That is actually not what you're doing in the RV industry. Tell us more, Michael.
Yeah, and this is from day one. We've always had this vision and belief of the industry. And I think timing was really interesting. So again, we launched back in 2016. And right around that time frame, if we all remember 2015, 2014 type time frame, there were some pretty public wars going on between Uber and the taxi industry, Airbnb and condo boards. And there was this term tossed around everywhere about these disruptive technologies that are disrupting industries. When we launched RVezy, we got that same pushback. While we've seen what peer-to-peer did to the taxi industry, and the dealers were very apprehensive about accepting us into the RV space. From the beginning, we said, listen, we want to help you guys. We want more people to get into RVing. And what makes us uniquely different, you cannot go out and test drive an RV. You can go out and you want to buy a new car, you can go test drive a car. They often give you even 24-hour test drives. You can't do that in the RV space. And you're talking about an asset, anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000, $200,000, and you've never even tried it out to see if you like it. So we always viewed that as we're growing the industry. We're getting more people into RVing. And our thought, even very early on, was we feel like we are going to enable more people to go out RVing. You look back a couple of years ago and we did a lot of, we spoke to our customers a lot, did a lot of research, a lot of surveys, and this was fascinating to find out. And it really solidified that original belief. It turns out that 10% of our renters have gone on to purchase an RV after renting, and almost 50% of them are currently in the market to buy. Well, you start pulling on that data, you're talking about $400 million worth of RV sales over 3 years. That's significant, right? That's a very significant number. So we've been working now very closely with the dealers because we've been working with them for years. We have these relationships. We know the good dealers. We know what brands they sell. We know where those deals are taking place. And now we're able to connect the RVer that just rented a particular unit with an RV dealer that's going to sell the same or similar unit that they rented and really make that connection. So it's really, we're kind of that first step for somebody looking to get into RVing. Go rent one for a weekend, rent it for a week, see whether you truly like this thing, and then let us help connect you to a dealer that's going to carry on that level of service and replicate that same experience you just had in the rental side.
That's really cool, and I want to get a little deeper into that, Michael. So, are you going to a giant RV company, with hundreds of campers, and saying we're going to put your entire inventory on our platform? Are you more selective? Like, what type of relationship do you form with them? And is it the same relationship that maybe me, Mike Curran's got an RV in my laneway that I'm going to only use half the weekends this summer. Explain the difference approach between those two different types of customers.
Yep. So we've set up a marketplace, a buy-sell marketplace where private owners of RVs can list their RVs and sell them, and we'll help get them buyers who are interested by virtue of the rental side of the marketplace. And also dealers can upload their inventory for sale. They can put sales units on, provide incentives to our customers, and we will connect the two. And what I was kind of mentioning was unique is that if I'm renting a particular type of unit, size of unit, or sleeps a certain thing, we're able to take that customer and hand them off to a dealer or a salesperson at the dealer that specializes in that particular unit. And that's where that value of the relationships that we've built over the last 8 years really comes to play here. We know these dealers intimately well because we often refer them for whether it's sales or service or whatever, or warranty work, whatever it may be. We can now pass off that customer with context of, hey, they rented this particular 26-foot trailer with bunkhouses and they have an SUV they're towing it with. We're able to pass off that customer with context and get more personalized service and incentives to purchase through our dealer network. So it's been working out really, really, really well. The dealers now, I love seeing them start to come around because then they also have the knowledge of RVezy and can help show their customers how they can afford RV ownership if they're inclined to do so.
Okay. And it's that you're playing a giant role. I mean, this. You're bringing their customer potential in a purchase to them, and it's the whole try before you buy. So whether I'm unsure whether my family will like it or whether I'm sure financially, you can help bridge that barrier in both those cases. So that's pretty cool.
If you've ever been to an RV show and they have them.
Yeah.
Usually in the wintertime, big, at the EY Center, wherever it may be, and there's tons of RVs in there, and they sell it really well. You see these beautiful units. Yeah, they're parked on a concrete pad in the wintertime at the EY Center. You need to take this thing out to Algonquin Park or a private campground, tow it behind you need to try these things. And that's where we're able to provide that experience and then translate that over to the dealership. And that's been the really interesting value.
That's really neat. Michael, we'll start wrapping up. We're going so quickly here. I wish we had a lot more time, but I want to talk about future growth. So clearly I heard that the US market is important to you, both in terms of its size, maybe in terms of changes in seasonality and that type of stuff. Help us look into the future a little bit with RVezy. What is coming up in the next few months or years?
So we are our vision wise, we're strongly aligned with growing the RV industry. We want more people to disconnect, go outside, experience North America in an RV. And that kind of you're seeing there's more involved in that entire experience. Well, not only do I need an RV, I need a campground, I need maybe a trip planner, I need some recommendations on where to go. You talk about long term, I love the one-click solution. I get everything, right? My campground books, my RVs booked, my route is planned, food, everything's kind of in a one-click scenario. That's the dream, the aspiration of where we strongly believe the industry is going. In the short term, I love the concept of delivery. It's something I feel we really had a major part in the RV space. Not everybody owns an F-150 or is comfortable driving a 30-foot vehicle. You know, you think about the condo dweller downtown Toronto, they likely do not have a vehicle sufficient to take on a trip. However, you can find that beautiful destination anywhere in North America, and the host, the owner of the RV, will deliver it to your campground, set it up for you, and come and get it when you're done. Talk about an easy entrance into the RV community. You're able to try it out without all the headaches of towing it, driving it, or whatever it may be. That's something we're really anchoring on of how do we get more people to try this thing out that I'm certainly passionate about getting outside in an RV without all the headaches or the worries about how do I tow this thing? I don't own that type of vehicle. How do I do this? That's something that in the short term, we are strongly pushing because it's such an incredible experience. Whether it's a tailgating event, a concert, a campground, whatever it may be, you can order an RV just as easy as you order a pizza, right? It's one click, bring this RV to me, I'm going to use this. And what an experience that can be. Maybe the next time they'd be more comfortable driving or towing it, or do this every year and just have it delivered to where you need it.
Yeah. It's great that you're talking about those pain points because you're right. There are the barriers, right? It's okay. I can rent the RV, but now where am I going? And then the second thing is, okay, I rented the RV. I know where I'm going, and how do I get it there? I don't have an F-150. So you're really thinking this through, Michael. No surprise that you're experiencing all of this growth. Excuse me. Listen, Michael. Before we wrap up, I want to go to our final segment, which is our Building a Better Working World segment, brought to you by EY.
Well, I may be a little bit biased being a co-founder of an RV rental marketplace that uses technology to disconnect and get outdoors. I think there's nothing better than being able to get outside and experience the outdoors, even in a working environment. Being able to disconnect, put the phone down, and get outdoors and travel the country and see different things. I think there's nothing better than that. So escaping in an RV and being able to work outside in different environments, I think just good for the soul and good for the person overall.
Amen to that. And you know, when I think about it, we often probably think of technology as the barrier to us getting outside. Like, I need to get off the couch and off Instagram. But you guys are using the technology in a way to really encourage it. And let's hope, Michael, when people get out in your RV, they're like, let's put the phones away here.
That's when you can disconnect. Yeah, you can disconnect once you get outside.
Stare into the campfire. Listen, Michael, sincerely, it's got to be one of the coolest technology stories going in Ottawa. So I want to thank you for taking the time for explaining RVezy, getting into the weeds a little bit, sharing your story and some of the lessons. Thank you, Michael, for taking some time with us here today.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
All right. And that was Michael McNaught from RVezy, a founder, along with his co-founder, Will. So we'll be watching them very carefully. Before we wrap up, let's take a look at some of the other great companies that champion our Techopia project. Techopia is brought to you by many great sponsors, such as EY, Building a Better Working World; Number Crunch, offering virtual CFO services for SaaS companies; Perley Robertson Hill and McDougall, a leader in business and technology sector law; TD Bank, specialized programs for technology companies, the University of Ottawa Faculty of Engineering, creating the next generation of technical talent. Techopia is not only a podcast, we post new articles daily at obj.ca/Techopia. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe and click the bell icon. Yeah, that was Michael McNaught, the founder of RVezy. As I said, it's got to be one of the coolest tech companies going in Ottawa, like in part because, they're involved in this camping space, and it's online marketplaces have this kind of cool factor as well. We can wrap our heads around it, compared to like AI and telecom switches and that type of stuff. So we'll be checking out RVezy. Stay tuned for more coverage from obj.ca. And listen, I want to spend a couple minutes talking about two different things. One is our annual technology magazine called Techopia EY Insights. This is launched in May. And it's a big project, takes months to put together with our writers and editors and photographers and all that type of stuff. It's hard to find a physical printed copy. There are thousands out there, but they're almost all gone. So if you want to check out the magazine, the best way to do it these days is to go to techopiaeyinsights.ca. Number two, for you OBJers out there, I want to make sure you hear about a big change in our subscription program. So we launched a membership subscription program about a year ago, and it was kind of based on exclusive access to online news and some other perks like getting our magazines delivered to your office or home. But there was a big change a few weeks ago, and we kind of unofficially launched it last night. We added something called the OBJ Data Center. And if you're familiar with OBJ's book of lists, imagine this kind of printed, oversized product existing in an online database. But it's way more than the book of lists. I want to emphasize this. There's already 2 times more data, 200% more data in the OBJ Data Center than the actual printed book of lists. So we put this OBJ Insider and the Data Center together in a new package. You can go to obj.ca/subscribe, obj.ca/subscribe to get both of those benefits and other benefits. And by the way, there is a group option. So this is designed for individual subscribers, but even better, you can, on a monthly basis, sign up your team, and then your entire team's getting all this benefit from OBJ Insider. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you for watching and or listening. We hope Techopia is keeping you connected and informed. Let's keep building Ottawa's technology utopia. That is Techopia. See you soon. Bye-bye.